Hello, everyone. This is Howard Fox, and welcome back for another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast, where we celebrate individuals and families, businesses, and organizations that seek out and promote the exploration, stewardship, conservation, access, and enjoyment of the outdoors. Jimmy Shaw and Jim B. Phelps are our guests today. Jim and Jimmy are representing the destination of Hodgenville, Kentucky, and the Knob Creek Conservancy. Jimmy and Jim, welcome to the podcast. How are you guys doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having us. So we're glad to be here. We've gotten to know each other over the last couple of weeks, Howard. And this is Jim B's first podcast. I'm telling him to smile a little bit and have some fun. I do this probably too much, but we're glad to be here. Thanks for the opportunity to showcase. Yeah.
It's a pleasure, and I'm just excited because I love history. That was my favorite subject, and I felt like as I was doing the research for this podcast, when you and I chatted a couple of weeks ago to lay the groundwork for it, that this was going to be really feeding my love of history. And I have to ask you first, for our listeners and for the folks that are going to view the video, first off, wave to the camera. Which one of you is Jimmy and which one of you is Jim? Okay, great. Okay.
I'm Jimmy. I'm Jim.
I'm Jimmy Shaw. It's Jim B. Phelps. Yeah. So.
All right. I love it. Now, if you would, I would love if you could share a little bit of information about yourself. So, Jim B., give us a little bit about your background and your connection to Hodginville and the county and the community in your area of beautiful Kentucky.
So I was born and raised here in Hodgenville. I'm a lifer. Been here my whole life, except for the 4 years I attended college in Lexington, Kentucky. Came back and was fortunate enough to be a teacher. I'm still in the education business, finishing up my 21st year. I now work as the curriculum support for the LaRue County school system. And the whole Knob Creek thing kind of popped up 4 or 5 years ago when my dad took over as mayor, and we discovered some unused property that the city had owned at McDougal Lake, and a group of us kind of banded together that were outdoor enthusiasts and created the Knob Creek Conservancy to promote conservation, education, and recreation.
Excellent. And great background. How did you decide to go into education and become a teacher? Because that's a hard profession, but you're making a difference in kids' lives.
Yeah, my mom was actually a teacher, so I lived and breathed the teaching world or education world, staying after school with her, and I just like people. I like to help people. Love sports, and I had a real good experience in school here at LaRue County. And when I don't know, it was just kind of one of those things. I was in college, and I was like, you know what? I think I want to go into teaching, and it all worked out, thankfully, and here I am.
Very good. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. So now I have to ask, how did you meet the guy next to you?
We go way back, I think. I got some pictures at home where we were in preschool together. So Jimmy was the year ahead of me in high school. So we played Little League sports together, probably hung out at each other's house here and there.
Okay. Now, Jimmy, I recall when we first had our conversation, I mentioned I'm going to need some photos to put up on it for our banners and our show notes. So I want to see that picture of you guys in preschool, okay, for the show notes. So just no pressure.
Cool.
All right. Excellent. So, Jimmy, tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your background?
Yeah. So one, Jimmy Shaw. I think one of the things that's unique, Jim B and I both, I'm junior. Jim B's are you the third or fourth?
Third.
You're the third. So my son's the third. His son goes by Bert, and he's the fourth. And
Oh, wow.
So we have just deep roots here in the community. I shared that with you, Howard, and I usually describe myself to people as like, I do this quite often. And how do you describe yourself? But I've got a little personal saying of just faith, family, adventure, and then just doing work worth doing. So born and raised, the county goes back. We've got deep lineage in the county. So the LaRue County, I was a LaRue. goes back 8 or 9 generations. The county's named after my family. Both of our families have been prominent members of the community for a long time, and so we just hope we're doing some justice to that. But I've lived here my whole life, other than my college days. I went to school at the University of Louisville. I'm an engineer. I own a business called Zion Solutions Group and own some real estate businesses. And my family, I've got 4 kids. They're my world. My wife's Holly. She's put up with me for 15 plus years. And LaRue County is a small farming community. And I think Jim B and I both share in the fact that we really could have probably gone anywhere and had careers in any location. And we both, I think, share the same mindset of that we wanted our children raised in this community where we were raised. It made us who we are. It's the fabric of us. And just, it's a great community full of great people and a rich history that we're going to get to. So that's just a little bit about me, but yeah.
Excellent. No, I appreciate that. Let's talk a little bit, if we could, about the history. I mean, you LaRue County, and you've got Hodgenville, so all this interconnection. How far does this history go back, and what are some of the significant highlights that are important for the visitor if they want to come and either partake in the outdoor adventure, or maybe they want to get immersed in history? Or I imagine you also have some great food and beverage and music around you as well. But what's a little bit about that history, Jimmy?
Yeah, for sure. So I think we got to start with what we're probably best known for, or hopefully how I describe it is Abraham Lincoln was born about 2 miles from where we're sitting today. So there's a National
Oh,
Historic
wow.
Park, I think is what they call it. And then there's another place where when they moved from where he was born to another place called Knob Creek, the boyhood home. So our Jim B probably knows better than I do when the city was formed, that it was in the 1800s, and I'm going to get it wrong. So I'm going to let him know it and say it for exact, because somebody will listen to this and be like, he has no idea. But our biggest, richest history is going back to Lincoln. So that's
Okay.
what we've been known for. There's in the general area, Howard, I think you've got to look at. We've obviously got good little dive places to eat. We'll talk about Leahy's. We'll talk about a few of the other places here to eat and still get that short order type meal that small communities are famous for. We've got
Oh, yeah.
a museum that's dedicated to Lincoln. We've got a rich history in terms of we are in the Bible Belt. So we've got more, I don't even know the number of churches we have in the area, but it's a lot. We're nestled really between Bowling Green and Louisville. We're dead center of central Kentucky. So we're easy
Okay.
access right off of major Interstate 65. Bowling Green's got the Corvette Museum. It's got a Mammoth Cave, a national park, one of the most visited national parks, is about an hour, 60 to 90 minutes south. Louisville, which is the biggest city, is about 60 minutes north. Lexington's about 60 minutes northeast. So we're nestled in a good spot. Bourbon. A lot of people really know Kentucky for a few things:
Oh, yeah.
racing, horse racing, and bourbon. And
Yeah.
so we're right in the middle of, within an hour, you could go visit some of the world's most recognizable brands of bourbon and the tourism around it. But specific to Hodgenville, I think Jim B and I are here to just promote, like, we're a small farming community with
Mhm.
a rich history. It goes back to Lincoln. That's our anchor. And
Mhm.
that Jim B has led, he's too modest about this, Howard, but he's led just a real revitalization effort in terms of making us more of an outdoor location, more of an outdoor, your podcast is about, it's a destination now in terms of, we've got hiking, we've got fishing, you can kayak, we've got a trail system that's pretty awesome that we've self-built. And hey,
Mhm.
while you're here, you can grab a cheeseburger at Leahy's, you can go visit the Lincoln Museum, you can ride around a small town America, and then you can go see where Lincoln was born and where he
I
moved
love
to.
it.
So
I love it.
that's a high level overview of some of the attractions. Yeah.
No, that's actually perfect. Jim B, if you want to add another layer to that, I'm curious if you know this answer. If and if you don't, I'm sure it's going to be significant. The number of visitors or the economic impact that you all have with folks coming in, whether it's a day trip. I mean,
I know it. It's about 400,000 people with what
okay,
some stats that we've had, and that number may
okay.
fluctuate up and down, but there's probably
Oh,
about 400,000 people that come in and visit the national park and just spill over through the tourism, through Lincoln Museum and through Mammoth Cave. So I've heard that
okay.
number, may be
Yeah,
wrong,
I
but
think that's in the Lincoln Museum. Iris LaRue and Rob Thurman. Iris is the director, and she's been a big part of kind of, helping to make Hodgenville a destination, and so is Rob Thurman. They have visitors yearly or annually from all 50 states. I think in 2024 they counted 35 visitors from 35 foreign countries
Oh,
that came
wow.
through Lake Museum.
That's
So,
Pretty
very
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
That's very
and then right downtown, Jimmy mentioned Lay Hayes. The Lincoln Museum's right downtown. It used to be a square, and it was a pretty typical uh, square of Kentucky, the small towns in Kentucky where the courthouse was the center of the town. It was on the square. Our courthouse actually burned down, if I'm not mistaken, twice. But when we were kids, the courthouse was not there; it was already gone. But right down in the center of town was the Abraham Lincoln statue, that's similar to the statue at the Lincoln Memorial in D.C. And they have now turned that into a circle. So we
Squircle.
call it a squircle now. But
Squircle. Yeah.
so the Lincoln Museum's right downtown, and you've got the Sweet Shop, which is kind of a nationally famous fudge and
Yeah.
ice cream place. And then, of course, Lay Hayes. We're going to keep talking about Lay Hayes. It's been around forever, and it's the world's
by the
greatest
way,
cheeseburger.
if I come for a visit, I want to go. I'm definitely going to go to Lay Hayes. I'm a cheeseburger guy.
Yeah.
I love my
Yeah.
cheeseburger.
It's a good one.
So,
Yeah.
so
All right.
right downtown, if a visitor, they're 2.5, 3 miles away from the birthplace, they usually come into town and
Yeah.
hit the Sweet Shop, hit Lay Hayes, and hit the Lincoln Museum.
Vibe Coffee.
Vibe
That sits
Coffee.
there now, and we got a couple little boutique places that you can do some shopping, and just there's been an effort to draw people into downtown.
Okay.
We've had a couple. We've got a restaurant called the 16th that is not. It's downtown as well, and we've really tried to mix the group of, you've got people coming in, Howard, and they want something to do, and people
All
want
right.
to eat, they want to shop, and they want a destination to come to, and so we've got a little bit of all of that.
And
I
so,
love it.
kind of a quick history note too. Right downtown, this was before Jimmy and our time. It had a bowling alley. It had 2 car dealerships. We had a motel where heard lots of stories about. I think my great grandfather was involved of playing cards a little too late at the motel on the square. But we lost a lot of that in the 60s after the development of the interstate systems, Interstate
Mhm.
65. So as Jimmy said, Hodgenville centrally located, and you can about anywhere. So it's kind of a hub. 31 was the main road that came through before the interstate system. So it was kind of a boom town. And of course, then the interstate system was built, and we lost a lot of that. We lost a lot of those stores,
Traffic, a lot of the
traffic coming through.
Yeah.
So since probably the 90s, late 90s, maybe early 90s, people even before us have really worked hard to revitalize the downtown feel. And I think we're headed in the right direction.
I
Absolutely.
love it. It sounds fantastic. And in a lot of the interviews that I've had, whether it's off Route 66, some of the destinations like 29 Palms, uh, which is the Joshua Tree National Park,
Yep.
here in Las Vegas, where I live, Boulder City, and we do we help them produce their podcast, the Best Damn Podcast. But when that interstate went up, Boulder City was just like cut off, and they recognized, like you guys have been recognizing, the importance of history and tourism and finding reasons to come into this destination. And I love what you have done. And I go back to that map I saw on the Visit Hodgenville site. Within 3 hours, 2.5 hours, you can come in, have a great day, or even stay over in some of the boutique bed and breakfast or the Airbnbs, and then go back home. So you got a great weekend, long weekend destination. I love that. When did the idea of this conservancy around this land that the city had in McDougal Lake, because that takes a lot of foresight there, is because people want to get outside, they want to be in nature, and I'm very interested in the idea of mental health in nature. And so the idea that I can go out of my downtown area and go walk in a park on a trail, that's exciting. And how did the conservancy begin to come about? Which one do you
Yeah,
want to
no,
tee that
Jim,
one up?
this is all Jim B. So
So
yeah,
let me get long winded here, but so like I said, my dad became mayor in 2019. I think was his first year, and he was just digging through some files and saw McDougal Lake. So McDougal Lake was popular. It was a popular fishing destination here in Hodgenville, but I don't know that people realized how much land surrounding the lake. It was about 400 acres, including the 100-acre lake. So you had about 300 acres of land. A little bit of that's kind of floodplain, unusable. So long story short, my dad sent me a screenshot of the map, and I was like, man, we could do something with this because Jimmy's hiking, trail running. I like to trail run, hike, mountain bike. Other members of our board, the same, that you're outdoor enthusiasts. Even some of them are nature lovers, observing wildlife and plants, trees. So I reached out to two fellow Hodgenvillians, Damon Barnes and Ben Bryan, who both had some significant experience with green space, which is a conservation organization in Hardin County, Kentucky, about 20 minutes north of us. So I reached out to them and said, hey guys, we got an opportunity here. What do you think? And so those two guys, Damon and Ben and myself, met with my dad on we were January of 2020. And
Wow.
we kind of started the ball of like, hey, can we develop this? And so uh actually I think that was January of 2019 because we broke ground on the trail in January of 2020. So I just got that wrong. We
Okay.
met my dad in January of 19, and a year later we started breaking ground on building the trail uh, at McDougal. And in
So
the
this is
meantime,
brand new.
oh
This
yeah,
is
brand new.
literally brand new. Wow.
And we had no money, just some shovels,
sweat equity.
just a couple of shovels, and some. We bought a
Volunteering.
couple of
What do they call
tools,
that one?
the rogue hose,
The rogue hose. Yep.
and we just had all the support from the city and just tore into it. And in the meantime, uh, we formed the board, Damon, myself, and Ben, and then Matt Fortier, Gary Canner, DJ Canner, Jessica Castanier, Caleb Canner, Gabe Fortier, Tom Claycomb, Eric Hughes, Eric Allen. Probably missing somebody. There's 12 of us. Jimmy,
Yeah.
there's 12 of us, and we banded together and created a 501c3 nonprofit organization.
Oh, yeah.
We kind of rely on, we do all the trail maintenance. We funded all the signage. We have a membership drive every spring where people become a member of the Knob Creek Conservancy, and it's fairly low cost. And that's kind of the money that the supporters and members are how we fund maintaining the trails, updating the trails, building new trails. And so we worked at the McDougal Lake, got the first side done in late spring of 2020, and then in 21 we started on another section and wound up with about 10 miles of trail.
Wow.
And we even we went out to the Hodginville Elementary School, to a small wooded location beside one of our elementary schools, and worked with the school system and built a little 0.3 mile nature trail there. And we've always had a environmental education and research center that the fiscal court owned, called, we all call it Pierman Forest, but it's the Lurie County Environmental Education and Research Center. It's kind of a mouthful to say, but it's one of the true highly mature old growth forest. It's about 200 acres. I think the forest is about 80 acres that sits on the preserve. And they developed that in 2000. And when we formed the Conservancy, we formed a partnership to go out there and revitalize some of the primitive trails that had kind of been lost. We put up some new signage, some trail maps. So we're just trying to keep these areas green, if you will, just advocate for green spaces. And like you said, people don't have to travel out of town now to get outdoor air. They can get it here.
That is really fascinating. And it's not lost on this happened literally in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And So, Jimmy, when you wake up in the morning, you going out for a trail run?
We Jim B and Tom probably use the trail more than I use it, but yeah, you all could look us up on Strava, and we've run it way too many times. We're actually planning. I'm the crazy idea guy. Jim B's the
Okay.
worker. I'm the crazy idea guy, and some other. He's got crazy ideas too. But we're talking about a group of us right now doing. You've heard of David Goggins, I'm sure. Have you heard
Oh
of
yeah.
Goggins? Yeah. So there's a 4x4x48 challenge, and I just casually asked a group of us. There's about 10 or 12 of us on, like, hey, who's dumb enough to want to try to do the 4x4x48 challenge? And we got about 50% response back. A couple of them are like, "Well, if he does, I will." But we use it quite frequently, and it's
Okay.
so nice to have it. I was more hiking until a couple years ago, and then Jim B's one of these guys that just he'll suck you in if he wants you to do trail running with him, and he's been a trail runner for 20 plus years. Well, probably shouldn't say it. You've run for 20 plus years, did cross country. I never ran competitively. I was a wrestler and did other athletics and baseball, and Jim B did too, but he also ran. And you can ask anybody in Hodgenville. If they see somebody running, Jim B's been that guy running on the streets of Hodgenville for 20 plus years. And my journey's about year 3, Howard, but
Okay.
we use it frequently. I was more of a hiker, but I've
Okay.
come to love running and using the trail and becoming a trail runner. I guess I can classify myself as that. My little friend group makes fun of me as trail running Jimmy because I ran a trail once and told somebody on a plane I was a trail runner, and so I got the nickname. I'm like, well, technically I've done it once, so therefore I am.
That
But
that's
now,
all it
now
takes.
I definitely am. I've done it a bunch, and it's mountain bike. I hadn't got into mountain biking as much, but you could hike it, you can camp on it, you can trail run it, you can hybrid trail run and walk, which I got a friend that likes to do that, or you can mountain bike it. So it's pretty
I love
phenomenal.
that.
Jim B's too modest, Howard, but self-taught. Gary Cantor's another. He's an interesting. Gary was a teacher at the school, longtime wrestling coach. Gary lived in Alaska for a year, and he's always been kind of an outdoorsman and just loved
Mhm.
the outdoors. And I think that's what you get on the board. It's just people that love our community and love the outdoors. But between Gary and Eric Hugh, I'm gonna miss somebody, but there's a select group of the group of 4 or 5, Matt Fortier, Damon, Jim B's been the head of it. They self-taught how to build trails, and they've done a phenomenal job with it. And there's work
All
that
right.
people pay thousands of dollars to get this done, and we've rolled our sleeves up and sweat equity. Again, I can't claim any of the work on it. I bought the air blower that blows the leaves off, and I
You did
donate to
your
the signs, and that's my contribution with
you
all the things I got going on in my life. But
you did your
it's the
part.
collective effort of the group, and all of them do it, Howard. It's pretty cool because
And
we all have the same
everybody in the
passion.
group kind of has their own little niche.
Niche,
Like
that's right.
Gary's the plant biologist. Damon is he's
The nature.
tracks the
Yeah.
amphibians.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm more of the recreation and education, but everybody has their own little piece that they add to the group.
Good group of people. Just a good group of human beings. Yeah.
That's very cool. Now I've got 2 quick questions, and I wanna share the website, the Knob Creek Conservancy website. Just take us for a quick tour of it. But 2 quick questions. Dark skies. When the sun goes down, middle of the night, clear skies. It's always clear skies in Kentucky, I'd imagine that. How are the stars out in the conservancy area?
It's dark out there, so it's a good place to view the stars. It really is.
Okay.
We got a good group that does night mountain biking when the
Yeah.
weather's good every Thursday, and we've seen the I can't think of the name of the comet. You know, back in October, it was hanging around
Oh,
this
yeah.
part of the world. You could see the comet and the trails. You could see Starlink.
Mhm.
Starlink has been seen out there, so
Oh,
it's
yeah.
you get out there at night, you really get to see some neat stuff.
That's very cool. The
It's not
one of the
Zion, Howard, or Joshua Tree darn, but it's pretty darn. It's
that's
pretty impressive. Yeah.
pretty that's close. If you can see some of the stars, the comet, that's pretty good. I'm a star guy. I mean, I'm not an astronomer. I love my dark sky photography, so I'll go sit and I'll let the camera click away for a couple hours while I just sit and just zen out because that's what I like to do. I do need some more trail running and biking in me. I sit too much. So maybe I can solve that problem, come out for a visit. What
Yeah.
has been the reaction from the locals? And perhaps some of the visitors have coming in. What's been their aha moment? What are you hearing from them, the locals, and maybe some of the visitors you may have crossed paths with?
You can take the first
I,
portion.
I think we get lots of compliments and we get lots of support from the people that use in the community. I think when we first organized the conservancy, it was kind of, uh, you know, seen as maybe just like a little nature club or something.
What
But
are you guys up to?
yeah, then when we got our nonprofit status and then we just started, you know, producing quality trails or quality experiences, I guess, maybe not quality trails, but just quality experiences for
Mhm.
folks. And I was fortunate. My dad took me hiking all the time, so I was outdoors early, and we can go to we're an hour's drive from Eastern Kentucky, from the foothills of the Appalachians, and we get to see the rock outcroppings and overlooks. You can travel an hour west, and you're on kind of a flatter terrain. And we're kind of unique because we're set within the rolling hills, and the rolling hills, deciduous forest. You got the seasonal changes of the trees. Uh, we probably don't appreciate it as much here because we can go to the foothills of the Appalachians and see the rock formations, or we can go out west and see the Rockies and see the treeless landscape with the mountains. But you talk to people, we've had a couple of people that have moved through into this area. They're from for military purposes, that have kind of come and started using the trails, and they might have been out in California, and I assume they probably take the outcroppings and the rocks of California like we kind of take the deciduous forest and the rolling hills, but they get here and see the seasonal changes and can't believe it. Um, and I think in all of this, that's probably one of my takeaways, is it's forced me to slow down and kind of look at nature and respect what we have. And I think, some people have talked about how pretty or how appreciative they are of us doing this because they get to experience those things. And so it's kind of, we always want something we don't have, and sometimes we don't think about what we do have, and we take that for granted. So I think
I
people now, it gives them a chance to get out in the woods and just see the changes of the season, that all through the year.
I hear that, and we do take it for granted where we live, and we really don't realize a mile away, an hour away, there's splendor to be enjoyed and experienced. I'm gonna go ahead and just share my screen, the miracle of technology here, and I'm gonna bring up the website and just give a good shout out for you guys. Let me center it up here. So this is the Knob Creek Conservancy website. Which one of you wants to take us on a little tour?
We can just kind of tag team it, Howard. So just go
Okay,
through it. What you're looking at here is you're looking at an overhead view of, that is McDougal Lake. So it's a man-made lake.
okay.
It was made for water,
Watershed.
right? It's a
Yeah.
watershed that was made. When was it made? Was it in the
80,
80s?
80, yeah, it was
Sometime in
opened, I
80s.
think, in
Right.
86, or
Yep.
started in 86.
Okay.
I told Howard earlier that it's I look back at my lineage, and my lineage goes back to McDougal as well. So there's McDougal Creek that flows into this, but it was a watershed that was built in the 80s, Howard. But
Okay.
that's part of the trail there. The second phase of it, you see the little outcropping of the trees right there. That's the
Yeah.
lakeside portion of the trail that we talk
Right.
about. And if you look really close under the promote right there, you can even see the trail, how close you see like a little smiley face between promote and education. Move your
Yeah.
mouse up.
Okay. Right
Right
there.
there is the trail. You can see that little line right
Yeah.
there. That's
Oh,
how
yeah.
close it gets to the water side. So,
Oh, very good.
yep. There's a dam you go across, and then you got up in we call it the Big Woods. Is that right?
Yep,
Big
Big
Woods. And
Woods.
then there's the lakeside trail, and we've got it broken up to where you can get some extra mileage in and take some shortcuts, whether you're running, whether you're biking, if you want to get more in or more or less. But
I love
that's
it.
the 400 acres that Jim B talked about. And then
I
you
love
go
it.
down, as you go down, it just goes into our story of how
Yeah,
we got started.
that's kind of
Okay.
tells the story of the how it all came to fruition.
Yep.
Okay. Very good. You got the Pyramid Forest, you got the elementary school, the little ex experiential trail that I love it. There's all the guys. We'll give a shout out to
Yep.
the current
Yeah.
board members. I
Yep.
love it. Oops. And so if we go back up here, we can
You can become a member. So we've
become a
got
member.
it. If anybody sees this, I mean, our membership's very that we're probably a little hidden treasure, really. We don't push
Right.
the membership drive really hard. We've got some local businesses that the community supported. We've always had what we need. The leaders of the community, there's too many to call out, have always been very helpful with it. And we,
Okay.
if you want to be part of it, like one of these things is like, how can you support us? Well, one, just come visit us. We love visitors.
Yeah.
Or want to become a member? It's cheap. We'd love it.
Well, that's
I'd
the
go to
goal.
trails next if you want. And just trails, we've got a list of the trail system that if you look through here, you can see how what we call the Valley Trail, the Lakeside Loop, Slab Ford, the Big Woods.
That's just a description of all the
All
trails.
of them,
And
right.
then there's on all the trails page, there's going to be all the trails that we kind of have.
If you go down, keep going down real quick, Howard. I think
There's
we've got kind of a map.
Oh yeah. Oh, there you go.
There you go. There's a map of it. And then we got one too? Do we got the PDF on here of the trails within the area of all?
It's on the homepage.
It's on the
Okay.
homepage. Okay.
So that
So each-
photo we
each
were
trail-
looking at, the photo we were looking at with the picture, that was like right here.
there.
Yep, right
Yeah,
there.
okay.
Right there. Yes, sir.
So, Jim B, where did you want to take us?
Go
No,
back.
I was just saying on all the trails page, there's just a kind of a description of the trails and then a map.
Is that
Go
this
back
link
to
right
the
here?
homepage, Howard. If you go back to the homepage, there's one that shows all. If you go down,
Okay.
that's the community right. So if you click on that link, you
Okay.
can see. I don't know if this is going to work. We'll see. It's going to pull it up in Adobe. But this is an overview of LaRue County. So the silhouette of the county, and then we've got a star system with links and directions to where all the different trails. It's probably too big. You might have to zoom it out. We can't see it. There you go. Whoop.
Oh,
There we go.
Hang on.
Okay.
I got it. There we
Right
go.
click on the green things, it just takes you to a Google
Click on
map.
the one.
so
It'll take you straight to the drop of the link, and it'll give you
directions.
directions, GPS coordinates to get you there.
Oh, nice.
And, so we created that. But if you go back, there's 5 or 6 at Jim B. Go back to the Adobe file, please.
All right. You're asking a lot here, Jim.
Yeah, I know. I'm checking your navigation skills. It's
Oh, my
right to
God.
the left of that tab. There it is.
Okay.
So you can see, like, we got McDougal Lake, we've got the Hodgenville Elementary Educational.
Yeah.
Yep. The
Oh, yeah. I can see it.
Educational Trails number 2. Abraham Lincoln's birthplace has a trail system. Pyramid
Okay.
Forest has a trail system, and then Knob Creek even has a trail system. So
Okay.
we're right there where the big star is, Howard. That's where we're sitting. And
Right.
you see the proximity of how close everything is. So
I love it. This is like, it's funny here in Vegas. I'm right near Lake Mead, Red Rock
Yeah.
Conservation, a couple desert wildlife refuge, and I don't get out enough. I mean, I love on the weekend, I'll get out, but you literally can walk out your door, walk, bike, drive for less than a mile, and you're right on a trail system. I love that.
that's right. Yep.
I love that. All right, let's try to head back.
No
There we
problem.
go.
I think
So
that's
we-
it on
If you
this.
go back one more time,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
then the other thing up there, the education. If you click on the education, you don't have to click on these necessarily, but so we partnered with the school system, and so two of our biology classes did research and created. So the one there on the right is the Hodginville Elementary Nature Trail, and they create a website, and we have signs built on the trail for the kids on amphibians, vernal pond ecosystem, wetland ecosystem, native and versus non-native species. And then at Pyramid Forest, we highlighted 25 specific tree species that each kid did research on. They designed the sign placard. I know that's not a great picture, but if you the blue boxes down at the bottom both take you to the website that was created by our high school students.
Oh,
And
nice.
so they correspond to signs that we put out on the nature trail and at Pyramid Forest.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow.
we try
Frogs
to
and salamanders.
really do things too to involve the school system, and just a way for us to kind of help show the kids how to give back to the community. But yeah, each kid got their picture taken. We took the old sign off
I think
and
my nephew did one of these
Yeah.
too.
put the new
Okay.
sign on.
Yeah.
I love it. Well,
So
this
we
is
just try
great.
to really bring the community involved. And I think that's one of the big our overall goal of the Knob Creek Conservancy deals with conservation, education, and recreation. And
Okay.
those three things we just try to promote as much as possible.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice. Well, I'm gonna stop sharing. Thank you for taking us on this tour.
No problem.
And I
You
would
had the Visit
love,
Hodginville page too, Howard, that we won't have time probably to go through it, but I'd
yeah,
like to hit a few more things that I left out in the front whenever you get to that before we wrap up. There's a couple more places of interest that
oh,
if
so
you're in town and around,
okay,
I'll knock them off. Yeah.
where would you like me to go then?
You don't have to, you can just show the Visit Hodginville
Okay.
webpage, and we
Okay.
don't have to go into it, but
Okay,
there's
let's
a
do that.
webpage that's been developed of if you're wanting to
Uh,
research a little bit more what you do here, but
okay,
we
here
talked
we go.
about a lot of the big stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a page on here if you just things to do in Hodgenville, and you can just probably stay kind of on that. But a few places I didn't mention is we got the Lincoln Jamboree, which is think of an old. I shouldn't say old. It's like it's a. I don't want to call it a honky
Like
tonk, but
the
it's
Opryland,
it
or Grand Old Opry.
it's like the Grand Old Opry version, and it's been like 60 plus years, and it's pretty amazing. We've got some made in Kentucky shops. We've got a bunch of little small gas station and memorabilia type places. We've obviously got Abe Lincoln, the birthplace. We've got the Knob Creek or part of the national park system. The downtown, I feel like we hit on a lot of that stuff, and
We've got Crawford Farms,
Farms,
Hinton
and Hinton's Orchard.
that are kind of fall.
Oh, there's the hamburger.
Yeah, there's a hamburger. We've got a creek front that's right next. It's just one of those things you take for granted. Where we have First Fridays, we celebrate as a community. We have one of the months. They do a car show, and so there's just
4th of July celebration.
You think about things that you take for granted. It's like small town community life, and it's just there's something for a little bit of everybody. If you like, Bardstown's right next door. Bardstown's got a great place to be. It was voted Reader's Digest best small town city in America at some point in the last 10 to 15 years. Fort Knox and General Patton's Museum and the Fort Knox, the gold vaults, 15, 20 miles up the road. There's just a wealth of, Jim B said it best, of centrally located of what we have around town. There's Kayla's. Kayla's is a newer restaurant, but she's won best burger in the community, and we're just kind of a throwback in time. And if people, Route 66 is a good is a good comparison to some. I've been all up and down Route 66, taking my kids all up and down, and like it's just it's a place from the past. It's what small America, town America used to be pre-Walmart, pre-interstate systems, and we still got a lot of that here and that feel in Hodgenville. People are looking for that. So
we also
I
have
love it.
the largest festivals in Kentucky, Lincoln Days in October to honor a 2-day festival to honor
Lincoln.
Lincoln. It's so it's.
We'll keep talking, Howard. You're gonna have to shut us off. So
Yeah, well, I tell you what, there's just a lot here, and I'm loving it. I'm gonna stop sharing, just in the interest of time.
Another big thing we probably ought is we've got a bike route. More about this. So like, there's a national bike. What is it?
Yeah. So real quick, the transcontinental bike route that goes from East Coast to West Coast. So in May, we have the folks coming in from, let me get this right. Those would be the folks come and stay. Our local Parks and Recreation allows them to come in and shower. It's probably one of the best places, according to the people that travel on it, that when they come through, it's one of the most hospitable places because we give them a place to sleep with a roof over their head, air conditioned, and they have showers. So the people start stopping in Hodginville in May. Those are the folks coming from the East Coast heading west. And then May, June, July, all the way up into September, you'll have people stopping in. Those are the people coming from the West Coast. The West Coast folks, I think, have to start a little later to let the mountains clear of the snow. And then we got US Bike Route 23, which comes from Tennessee and actually ends at the Abraham Lincoln birthplace. So we get a lot of visitors on the bicycles too.
Excellent. Now I need to get on a plane or drive, whatever's best, and stay and just enjoy everything you guys have to offer. It's exciting.
Be
And
welcome
I,
anytime, Howard. We'll put you up. We'll feed you a cheeseburger. You can come visit. The office is right downtown's literally a 100-foot walk right over here. So
see,
yeah,
I like the fact that you can probably walk out the door and go get a good
you
cup of
can.
coffee and a cheeseburger. And it's
You
like,
can. Yeah.
this is excellent. Hey guys, I really appreciate you taking the time to join us and share your story and this beautiful destination with our listeners, and really taking part of this outdoor adventure series adventure. And you guys have a wonderful destination. And I, again, Jim B, I appreciate you both taking the time to join us. Jimmy, if now we've got the backlinks to the websites, the Knob Creek Conservancy.org, that link. We've got, and we'll also have the backlinks to your Facebook and Instagram pages on our show notes. We'll have the backlink to the Visit Hodgenville website as well. Any other places you'd like us, and we'll do some shout outs and backlinks to some of the businesses that you shared as well. Anything else that you'd like to share with us before we sign off today?
I think we've done
Yeah.
we probably scattershot as much as we could, everything that we can think of. So if we missed anybody or missed anything, it wasn't intentional. And I would just say one of the things we're known for is just hospitality. So
Yeah.
you can put can't speak for Jim B, but I think he'd be okay with this. Is like, I'll put my email out. He can put his out. Like if somebody's coming into town, we're glad to host. We're glad to help. We're glad to answer questions. You'll find we're still small town friendly. And so the communities, we haven't said this, Howard, but there's about probably 4,000 people in downtown in Hodginville, and there's probably 12 to 14,000 in the whole community in terms of the size of our county.
Right.
And my kids are here for a reason. I like the
Right.
people I live next to and my neighbors, and I want them raised in this with this heritage. And so
You
that's it.
you literally have thousands of what I call brand ambassadors,
Yeah.
because this is your brand, and you've got the whole community. It's, as you are describing, very welcoming, and you guys have done a phenomenal job. I just can't believe this is, the Conservancy's only been around for 5 years or so, and just was an idea of your dad, Jim B. But I think it's phenomenal, and I will take you up at some point because I want to come visit. Because I'm always looking for my next place to live. By the way, I usually share that on my episodes, but before we head out, Jim B, how's this feel to be on your first podcast? This was easy, wasn't it?
You did
Yeah,
good.
I guess. Maybe got a little long-winded, but
No, you
make
did
it,
great.
yeah, just we appreciate you reaching out to us. I'm glad it all worked out.
Howard,
Thank
you've
you.
had a bunch of people. How's he done on this first podcast? You
I
got to
think he
grade him
did
an A, B, or
fantastic.
C. Done
I,
awesome.
I'd give you 5 stars. I'd give you five
There you go.
stars. So
We had to
you'll be
warm
ready.
him up a little bit. We had to ramp
Yeah.
him up, but he's
And
smiling. He's loose now. He's ready to talk.
here's
He's ready for part 2.
Yeah, and Jimmy, if you need somebody to back you up on one of your episodes, I can't do it. Well, Jim B will take
He's
over
not.
the mic.
He got the check mark now. So
Right.
I
There you
told him
go.
it would be easy. It's just talking. That's all it is. And
It's a
but
piece of cake. Hey guys, I
yeah,
really appreciate it. Again, we're gonna hopefully get some photos for the website on our show notes. We'll have all those backlinks, and really, I'm excited for my listeners to hear about this little area of heaven in Kentucky, and it's been great to get to know you guys. So thank you for taking time today.
yeah.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Howard. Really
Uh,
appreciate it.
all right, listen, stay in the line. We're going to do a real quick close, and 3 of us can have a final chat.
Sound good?
All right, folks, you've just been listening to another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. We had the pleasure of meeting Jim B. Phelps, Jim B., and Jimmy Shaw, who are literally have history back to the 1800s with the county, and with the really this community, and the wonderful work and passion that they have introduced with their friends and colleagues, and really in making this a stellar destination for your outdoor adventure. So, you can visit Hodgenville. It's right in this 2-3 hours from some big cities: Louisville, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, It's right there for you for a nice day trip or even a long weekend just to enjoy a little history, a little nature, some good food and entertainment. Now, do make sure you go out to the websites. Now, we're going to provide the backlinks to the Knob Creek Conservancy, and we'll have also their Facebook and Instagram sites as well. And we're going to have a backlink to visit Hodgenville so that you can learn all about the events that are taking place in this community. As for us, our episode is available on our website, outdooradventureseries.com. We're also on LinkedIn and Facebook on our Outdoor Adventure Series pages. The video of this episode, where we took a tour of the Conservancy as well as visit Hodginville, will be up on our YouTube channel. And of course, you can listen to this podcast wherever you get your podcast from. I can't think of a better way to listen to podcasts than go for a hike, a bike, a trail run. Just have it on your smartphone, download it, and you can listen to this wonderful episode. And if you are in the community of Hodgenville, do let Jim B and Jimmy know what you thought of their performance today. By the way, 5-star performance, remember. Okay,
only
folks,
good,
wherever you are.
only if you liked it, let it know.
Only if you liked it.
Keep it to yourself.
Keep it to yourself. I love that. All right, folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there, have a phenomenal day. And we look forward to having you join us in a future episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. Take care.